Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Victoria Skirbo speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And it's time for Moon Shadows with my one and only Ona. Hello, Ona.
Hello, hello. Hello.
How is the weather in Chicago today?
Really sunny and, in my opinion, warm. Like, I had windows open, it's 50 degrees. And then I think it's going to rain on Thanksgiving, but the next couple of days is supposed to be nice. Well, today's Tuesday, so one more nice day, which is really welcome.
Yeah, we had a couple of coldies and it did warm up a little today. But on some of those nights, we had a fire almost every night. Just I couldn't warm. You know how like at the beginning of the season, until your body gets used to the cold, it's so hard to warm yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting in front of the fire like an old Labrador,
Yeah.
trying to warm
We had a
myself.
lot of people that went out to start their cars, start them before they left shift, start them in the middle of the night. And yeah, because Saturday night mostly because it was so cold so quickly. It was like 18.
Well, you guys, I mean, it gets cold here too, but nothing like Chicago cold, man. I heard that your tires can blow up. It gets so cold.
They actually shrink. The air compresses. And it happened to me. This is what happens is the sensor in your car says your tire pressure, you got to fix this. And it's because the garage is cold and the air compresses, and I start driving and that sensor light comes on, and I went and got air with the only pump that was available. And I said, you know what I'm here for? The same thing everybody else when it gets cold. My tire pressure is off. Can you guys just flip me some air, please? And they fill it up and the sensor balance. But when it gets cold, everything kind of like the floors shrink, and there's like that floor gap, and the front door it's that kind of thing. And it happened already.
Oh, maybe the cold weather is what made your bed move away from the.
I was wondering, but it usually doesn't. It doesn't move because that room is carpeted and that bed is heavy. So my bed moved away from my wall a little bit. I don't know how that happened. And I lost a pillow down there. But now
It would be nice if there was an interesting story connected to that, but there really wasn't.
I know. Well, yeah, I did feel earthquakey.
Oh, well, that I was talking about something else, but we're not going to talk about on. No, that was a little humor.
Giblets maybe jumping off the bed would move it, but not that much.
Jibs.
Sleeping over here.
So we have a new moon in Sagittarius. This one is pretty nice. I mean, we've had some kick-ass, throw you down the stairs moons this year, among other things. But this one seems full of hope.
Yeah.
Full of hope. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the eclipse energy is kind of like has waned off, that was anticipatory anxiety kind of thing. That was like what's going to happen sort of feeling. And that's kind of been tucked away. But I actually thought the eclipse was kind of neat and not so disruptive.
I thought it was great. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I think what it felt like to me, and of course, we're supposed to be talking about the new moon, but we can't talk about the new moon until we talk about what we've sort of been through a little bit with this eclipse. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's been so many times that we thought that being good and being right and being integritous would matter. Mm-hmm. And every time we thought that, we would get like, owned, I guess, so to speak. And after the eclipse for the first time, and of course it correlates with the midterms. Like if for the first time it felt like, being morally, not that we have we're not Oz, right? We're not like the mighty and powerful odds that our perspective is the only perspective and the best perspective. But certainly a choice to be nice to one another seems like a good choice. And I feel like people are really tired of the grievance and it's like, stop complaining and do something about it.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. And I think we've just sort of reached I think we let go of some stuff with that eclipse, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And just the insanity of all of it, at least for me, it feels different to me. Like I've had that awareness, but
Yeah.
it feels different now than it did before the eclipses and before the midterms.
Yeah.
I really think we chose, like, I think ever since 2020, we're moving in the right direction. And of course, there's all this ridiculousness that we have to deal with because the ex-president is a baby. I mean,
Right.
uh,
But he's losing support. He's like, people are going Kanye on him now.
we'll see what happens. He always pulls
Yeah,
something out of it, but
they're just going to peel. People are going to peel. When you get a core of like supporters that are like, yeah, one starts to peel off and they all start to fly away.
well, I think the reason they're all flying away is because he's losing power. That's the only reason. If he still had power,
yeah, maybe.
So he may try to do something more diabolical than usual in order to sweep people back into his camp. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly is going to come of it.
I think he might try to incite more damage, but there are more people that are aware now. And this is like the new moon stuff, right? They're more, even if there is a deep support for that system, right? You pulled back and there's more awareness because there's more news coming on. So your perspective is shifting. And I think there's more, everybody's becoming more aware. Even if you have been following, a path that is, not so great.
You would hope so. So let's take a look at the moon.
Yeah, I got the chart.
Okay. Oh, you got the chart. All right. Well, I'll share.
Print that. Wait for tomorrow. Yeah, I printed it out.
I'll share it now so we can look at it. And not only is this new moon very interesting, but the full moon that follows it is very interesting. We'll talk about that when we get to just ignore this here. Oh, Clarence Thomas. Yeah, wouldn't I love to ignore him? I just want to make sure. Here, let me do it this way. I want to make sure I click on the right thing here. All right.
And it's just, the new moon will be right as the moon moves into Sag, or the first degree. I mean, well, it just
second degree
in terms of like time of day. So new moon stuff can be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like that, the energy is like,
yes, it's still in Sag. Yeah, you don't have to know right away. In other words, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see now. I just have to find. Oh my God, I'm just so technically not. Just not. I wanted to even. I'm trying to decide what to do for in the news. It's between Iran and Twitter. Ooh. So I think I think I'm more interested in Iran. Okay. If you happen to see the full moon, I mean the new moon, where I can't find it here. Oh goodness gracious.
There.
Is it there? No.
You can't see it because it's next to the sun.
Oh, seriously. Come on now. All right, hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, you shouldn't even put me in charge of this stuff, honestly. Okay, let's see. I think this might be it. Nope, that's you're
This
right.
is so Mars retrograde too. Like,
oh,
we gotta talk about that shit, right? That's like, you want to do something, it's like, where is it? I know it's when one of two places, right?
97, 71, 206. Okay, is this it? Oh, damn it. Sorry. Oh, 71. All right, I am so sorry. Hold on one second. So I found it.
We're good. We're good.
So we have a new moon in second degree of Sag, which is pretty early in Sag. So you were saying that, it's the new moon is at the beginning of Sag. So we have probably a day and a half, at least maybe 2 days of the Sag moon, right?
Yeah.
And that helps us. So because one of the things we want to get with Sag is vision.
Yeah.
And you don't actually always have vision at the beginning. So I say give yourself those couple of days with Sag while the moon is in Sag, and dream, dream big. Look, it's about big picture. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a guarantee that anything is going to pan out for you necessarily. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have something for the universe to sort of like help you navigate, as opposed to just saying, oh, whatever the universe wants to, give me, let it give me, and then you get a deluge on your head.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this full moon, of course, new moon, is that it's in Sag, right? Of course, which we know, but the ruler of the moon, Jupiter, Sagittarius' ruler, is in Pisces, trying the new moon. So there's a flow of energy, and then Jupiter's turning is stationed, right? And then it just like 5 minutes after the 5 minutes after the new moon, we have the Jupiter station, and to me, it feels like a deluge. Like I keep getting this sense of deluge. And I was reading cards. Let's see if I can find those.
Yeah.
And I actually pulled cards on this.
Yeah.
And the immediate future, I used my, and I held them aside because I thought they were so interesting. I used my Illuminated Earth Oracle deck, which isn't really a tarot deck. And in the immediate future, I got this card, which is Deluge.
Yeah.
It looks there. Something is falling down.
Yeah. That
from on high, I guess.
Because Jupiter always makes me kind of go smell ammonia. That's what's been happening. And then, and I know that where I work has that odor pretty much throughout the whole place, where it's kind of infused. So I try to separate that. And like, this is about work and not, the new moon or Jupiter going direct, but it's about Jupiter going direct. It is, eye tearing.
Yeah. I feel, there's definitely something coming down the pike, so to speak. We do have in this chart, the new moon, at least for the US, is in the 6th house of fixing what's broken. Healthcare, it's a healthcare system. It's the military. Wouldn't it be interesting if we put the kind of money we put into the military into our healthcare systems?
Right.
Imagine what that would do. Or how about our education systems? Right? Instead of spending all this money on stuff we don't ever want to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have I almost said the S word, a boatload. We have a boatload of Sag here, right? It's not just, that's the other thing. There's so much Sagittarius.
That's why, if you even wait a day, like until Thursday, like I like to light the candle and right when the moon is, at that exact time.
Right.
But I think if you wait till at least it touches Venus a little bit later and then Mercury, it'll make more sense. It'll give you more time and space to sort of ask, right? Ask all these ancestors and everybody that's coming in to give me a vision of the future. Show me how to act as the person I visualize.
I aspire to be.
Yeah.
I think as Sagittarius is very aspirational.
Yeah.
They like to have a goal. They like to have a plan. They
Yeah.
like to have something to believe in. And, we've had a lot of things that we've believed in that have been shattered to a certain extent, so it's we might even say a new belief system based on perhaps, what we've experienced through this time when the South Node was in Sag for 18 months.
Yeah.
That was through most of the
It's like
really
we've
18
done the
months.
research, right? We've done the self-research and we've come to some kind of conclusion.
Right. Yes, exactly. Just through our experiences, the
Yeah.
experiences of the last, 5-6 years.
Yep.
The Sagittarius is also the wild places, right? The mountains and the where the wild animals live, so to speak. So there's that energy as well. It could very well be some sort of earth event that we experience.
Yeah, it feels it maybe because I stand up more than I sit down lately. And I have neuropathy, so there's really not a really good gauge on this, but shakier.
Yeah.
Shakier.
Yeah.
You have to sort of widen yourself to stay stable.
Right. Widen the stance.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see when we do get around to that new moon in Capricorn, because we would think that would be much more of an opportunity to stabilize ourselves, but we'll have to see what that looks like. I haven't looked that far ahead, but I have looked at the full moon, and if you don't mind, I'm going to just pull it up. Again, here's Clarence Thomas, so I don't want to see or that. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I can't. This is so bizarre. It's happening again. Hold on a second. I'll get it. Wait a minute. I'll get it. Here we go. Please. So we have the full moon. Here's the full moon to this new moon. And we have Mars on the moon. Interestingly enough, was it the full moon when we had the full moon in Taurus, which was part of this last eclipse, right, cycle. We had oh no, it was the sun. What was the sun had Venus and Mercury, and the sun in Scorpio, and the moon had Uranus. Now the sun has Venus and Mercury still. That's good. But the moon now has Mars.
Yeah.
So
and this is going to be visible in the sky, guys. This is going to be visible in the sky during this full moon. If it's clear, you'll be able to see Mars on one side at night and then Mars on the other side later on. I don't have the timeline.
It might actually,
Adler's opening up their observatory for it.
It might actually go under it, although I think it's an occultation, so it might.
It's an occultation.
So it'll go right behind it, or look like it goes behind it.
Yes, it's an occultation. Yes, yes.
The other thing that needs to be considered is that Mars is out of bounds.
Yes.
So when Mars is out of bounds, people act out of the bounds of normal. And so this concerns me because it sits on Trump's Uranus. So we may, or it could very well be great because it's the, it's the nail in the coffin, the proverbial nail in the coffin. But well, we'll have to see, because I still feel like we'll have him as long as we need to learn a lesson from him. So we'll see if we're done with that. But so what have you been thinking about as far as something for the altar?
Amber was coming up earlier in the week, and I'm still using that as a nice antidote. And I like the idea of with amber being the resin, right? The part of preserving little pieces of earth in it. Kind of thing.
Preserving pieces of the past.
Yeah.
It does connect us to our ancient wisdom too.
And that's very Sagittarian to me.
Very Sagittarius.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
So that kind of like extracting from that, more of the oil, the perfume than the actual stone. But I've had the stone like running around with me and challenging me in different ways. So
I still have amber on my I still have my Scorpio altar up, and I had amber on that.
Yeah.
Along with
agate.
obsidian.
Agate was the stone that I got, because it actually, and I think it might be Jupiter related, as I'm sort of smelling ammonia. And if I don't get something right away, I kind of run my hand over the piles and bowls and dishes full of the stones I have. And what tickles me is what I grab. And I got some agate, and I thought this is more Jupiterian to me, because the slices of agate actually look like Jupiter, right?
Yeah.
They have those swirls and clouds in them, but also Sagittarian in that there's always a landscape in these rocks and agates.
Right.
That with a certain shadow or not shadow, you see image. And I think that's part of the Sagittarian journey too.
Right. And we have to remember that Sagittarius, by the time we get to Sagittarius, the sun has just been through Scorpio, or any planet has just been through Scorpio. So it's been through a process of sort of releasing and letting go of many feelings and emotions, and had to process a lot. And Sagittarius is like coming out of the dark, that song.
Yeah.
That's kind of really what Sag is. And Sag is like breathing air, and they're like, okay, well, now that I have nothing, what do I need to move forward with? And so they go to the mountain, and they look at the the landscape in front of them, and there's a certain amount of that. So I think looking at the landscape of your life is good. Not with, and you don't say, well, my life was this and now it's got to be this. No, it's not really about that. It's about opening up to the possibilities. Sag is very optimistic, so keeping that optimism. You don't want to be pessimistic with this new moon. Because there's a certain amount of power in what you're projecting. And so
quick manifestation, I think, is a good theme also, because of all the just where the moon is in Sag, and the Venus and Mercury play. That is, it seems like it's just Mercury, anything in Mercury.
Well, it's interesting, because if we look at, I just want to point this out, because sometimes I'll look at it this way, and it's helpful for me. Hold on. Oh, Jesus, here we go. Losing my religion again. Okay, where is this stupid? Oh, I think this is it. Please. There's something wrong with my computer. I've just come to realize it's just.
You know what? I've been having some slow movement in mine, and I know that Mercury's not retrograde, but it's just some stuff is weird that was coming up. And sometimes I take those signs like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't be on it right now because I can't put my pin in, like weird things, little weird things.
Yeah, that could just be us.
Ours thing.
So when you look at the lineup here, right, you have Mercury, then you have Venus, then you have the sun and the moon. And so Mercury is your mind, Venus is your heart. So your mind and your heart are leading the way, and then your purpose comes sort of. So it's like you have to like hope big, dream big,
Yeah.
then be willing to accept what comes, because we're not all going to get what we want, nor should we, because we don't always have the full view and vision of what this is going to be in the long run. I don't think any of us ever do, but I do know, at least in my own life, if I could just use my own life as an example, is whatever I've ever wanted, I found that I've gotten it, but not in the way that I thought I was going to get it, or the journey was different, but still in the end, I got exactly what I had hoped to get. But I had all these ideas about how I was going to get from point A to point B. So I think it's good to have B.
Yes.
And C, D, E, F, and G, because you have to have options, right? But have that vision, and then just sort of, then you put it in the hands of spirit to get you there.
And when Jupiter moves out of Pisces and goes into Aries, this is when, like, be ready for this.
That's right.
This is when we're going to see.
Yeah, this period is a healing period and a releasing period with Jupiter and Pisces. Once it gets back into Aries, which I think is happening on December 19th, I think, right around when the sun goes into Capricorn. Then I think, and then we might have a sun. I have to look. We might have a sun.
That's going to be interesting. I'm going to
maybe a sun square more. No.
The sun's going down right now. That's for sure.
Don't let the sun go down on me.
Gosh.
Don't let the sun.
Or something. That's a little bit better.
Yeah, so we have a new, Jupiter goes back into Aries on the 20th. And then the sun, so Jupiter goes into Aries on the 20th, and then, so this is December. I know we're not supposed to be talking about this, but then the sun goes into Capricorn, and then we have Jupiter on Aries square the sun on Capricorn. So that's big, because those are two world points. So we're having big shifts, big power shifts. I'm going to be doing, I think I definitely going to do Iran for my next In the News.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting things in that chart that are happening. But so what else? What else haven't we covered? What else did we?
Musk was the that flew off the shelf. And that is Centaurian to me, right? There is Sagittarius kind of.
I've never smelled a centaur, but I have to imagine they could be a little musky.
I think they probably are. So I've been burning that like a couple of days just to kind of like see what this energy is about. And the song I did like kind of pick up on a song, but I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. And it's well, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead, it does. I want to hear it. I want to know.
It's called Connection by Elastica. And it's an interesting song, and it's about, and I think because of these lyrics in there, it's more about the Mercury and Venus having a little bit of a time. I never knew a heart could be a spade. Like the heart is in the shape of a spade, if you think about it.
Right. An upside down heart is in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, that it was that kind of energy when, we're thinking about the moon moving through that. I thought, well, that's why that song kind of makes sense there. As I sort of crash course my way into this new moon energy. It's hard. I'm having a hard time sort of separating what my work,
right,
stuff and, snapping back into, you know, appreciating getting all these signs, because some of the stuff, the signs I get from work aren't useful for this content.
Or sometimes a little too useful.
Yep.
As far as stones for me, I like sodalite for Sag. It's associated with the throat, so speaking your truth. Sagittarius is a sign of truth as well, and you need to stand in your truth, the truth of who you are, right? But we aren't we're not even what we believe. We're kind of sparks of the divine. That's really what we are, and we have a special purpose. And we need to be open to the promptings of spirits, I think, to give us clues about what that might be.
Yeah.
Right? What inspires you? What makes you go?
Mm-hmm.
And I was having this conversation with my friend, and I might have said this previously in another video, but my friend Denise, and I was like, wouldn't it be great if you just do what you love and love what you do, and you get paid for it? Like, imagine a world filled with people who love what they're doing.
Yeah.
What kind of world would we have?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it would be different.
It would be different. I think about that when I'm like sewing and doing this stuff. I'm like, can I just get paid like the regular rate and do this?
Yeah. I'm all for that. That's the society that I would like to live in. I'm not,
I don't take up a lot of space. I don't like consume a lot. I don't throw a lot back into the earth that is not healthy for it. I respect it. Like, can I just do this, instead of busting my butt? And I like my job. I do. I
would say to that, I would say yes.
Yeah.
So, so what are you doing? Anything special for Thanksgiving?
A lot of people are calling me and inviting me because they feel sorry for me this year. All of a sudden, I'm invited every Thanksgiving because my mom just died in October. Right. So everybody wants to invite me. I'm like, usually I'm just kind of by myself, or my kid usually goes with his dad. So
I'm gonna extend an invitation to you if you want to come.
I'm probably gonna go to my cousin's, and do some.
We're having duck. We're not having turkey.
Okay.
Which I think there's only two of us, so.
Yeah. The thing is I don't eat meat, right? And it's not special for me to see people eat turkey, and I just eat a bunch of sides anyway, and sometimes I can't even do that. So I'm making a salad. I'll go to my cousin's, we'll do the cannoli and I'll just stuff my face with
the sweets
and coffee.
Sweets and coffee.
Yep. And
so is there anything else that you want to? Oh, we were going to do cards. Why don't you pull some cards?
Yes.
I knew there was something on the list.
I do. And here, and what I feel like I've relaxed my expectations, I guess. I've relaxed my expectations about this new moon. I don't feel rushed about it because I know there's still this window and there's still time to project, right? What this.
Yeah, and I think we're also still in a shedding. I think until Jupiter moves into Aries again, it's going to feel like we're wrapping things up, because those, Jupiter through the signs is 12 years. So we're wrapping things up from 12 years that started 12 years ago, which would have been what, 2010? No, 20. I can't do math.
I can't do math either. I'm
2010, right? 2010 and 12 is 2022, right? Am I right?
Yep.
Did I do the math right?
Yep.
Mind you, I do numerology, but I always double check my
decade that made the math all complicated.
I don't know. I think the nuns would be appalled that I can't do math in my head.
I can't math anymore. Ever since we got a calculator, it was like, well, we don't have to. And and I appreciate what my kid has gone through in math and stuff, and how that was a challenge, because even though I tried to encourage, math was easy and not a big deal, it kind of was a big deal.
Some people have mathematical brains and some people don't.
Yeah.
You're just good at it or you're not.
I get the Hierophant. I get
Ooh.
the mouse talking to the other mice on his pedestal. Sag. This is how it goes. The ratatouille. Right. Given the recipes. And it's a Hierophant card.
Well, the Hierophant is listening to the inner voice within. So I think it goes along with what we were talking about, where we stay open, like have a general idea, but even if you don't, just stay open to what comes in and the information. Sagittarius is the higher mind.
Yeah. But what's interesting though, it's also the mice are, around the ankles. There's energies that are coming from underneath too, and around in that ankle area, right? The little sort of elementals,
right,
are up for grabs right now. They're grabbing.
Well, that makes sense. Sagittarius is associated with the elemental. Yeah,
biting at your heels. Move. Time to move, get the work done. Kind of.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work ahead of us, but I think it's going to be, I think if we just work together, I think it'll go a lot faster and we'll get a lot further than we imagined we could. I just hope, not to make this political, because, I mean, what good are you screaming at the television? What good is it, right? I just hope that somebody comes to the realization of what we already know, that we just have to work together and figure this out, because we can't keep going on like this, just wanting to hurt each other. Just, whether it's in our own country or wanting to hurt another country. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to harm another being. It just doesn't make any. You're not eating them.
Right.
It's not food.
Right.
So what are you doing? Like, for what? So you can do what?
We're starting to just rebuild and recultivate relationships. And we don't know how to treat each other. And the stuff, the shootings and stuff, this is going to happen until that shit comes off the shelf. This is almost like, I smell that coming, constantly this kind of crap is going on, and it's just ridiculous. And see, I feel safe here in Illinois. We've got initiative already because of what happened in Highland Park over the summer.
Right.
That is propelling its way through the state Senate right now. But other states aren't as aggressive that way. And it's solely for like assault rifles. Like they just want to peel off this one thing.
Right. I was watching, I don't know, whatever news show it was last night, and they kept talking about mental illness. It's like, yeah, but if these mentally ill people didn't have guns, they would just be mentally ill people screaming at and making trouble and fighting a bunch of people in the nose. But when you have semi-automatic or the capacity to do semi-automatic things, I mean, what? It's just
it's easy to put that into compartmentalize that and say, well, these people are mentally ill, but when not recognizing that we all are going through a mental health crisis right now.
Of course we are. We want to kill each other. Why would that's mentally ill? I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yep.
And it's one thing if you somebody comes and takes all your food and your tribe starves to death. It's a whole nother thing to want to shoot somebody because of who they love.
Yeah, it's just
nuts.
It's so nonsense, and it's about exposing these gun laws. I gotta say, there's something else that's happening, and I know it's in my calendar, and it's for Thanksgiving Day. Oh, that's Friday, actually, the day after Thanksgiving. Native American Heritage Day, and I think we need to honor this seriously. Maybe that's, I'm getting more of the agate and stuff, and I knew there was
Well,
some.
there's a thing going in front of the Supreme Court. I don't know if it already did or not, where they're trying to to prevent, like right now, if you have a child that needs a home, who's who's part of a native tribe, they get adopted out to the natives. They first, right? And so they want to try to like get it so that the white people can adopt the natives, the native children, because they can give them more opportunity because of the way we treat the natives. And they're like, no,
Right.
they're like, no,
Yeah.
these are our children. These are our children. You know, you've already taken them away and put them in these homes. And I watched a thing on, might have been Democracy Now. I'll share it with you. And if I can, I'll put it I'll link it. But just like it is that the natives they're being challenged now. Their sovereignty is being challenged in the Constitution. So it's especially important, you know. And I live here in Massachusetts, where kind of it all began. And here, Thanksgiving is considered, well, not, you know, not for Massachusetts people who don't know, but it's a time of mourning. It's not a time of celebration. Most of the Thanksgiving feasts they had were after raids.
Right.
They would raid Indian camps, kill people, take their stuff, and then they would eat it.
Yeah, and that started a whole thing with me because of the building I work in. That property, that land was owned by Native American, and that building sits on property that we stole, basically. Okay. It was like it was documented before it became the little offshoot of Chicago that it is, just outside of it. So that building's got some energy, man. And I want to learn more about the history of it so I could do what I have to do to feel protected in it, because I don't feel protected in there.
Maybe you need to bring some, like if you're allowed, you know, I don't know how strict they are, maybe like a dream catcher or something like that, put it on your wall or put it someplace where it can,
Yeah.
or even like some sage spray or something, like instead of burning sage, because they don't like giving you burn stuff in the hospital.
No, we
You
don't
get like
to
a
do
spray
that.
and you just sort of spray your area.
Yeah, I do. I have my protection oils and stuff that I use on myself before I go. But and I feel like it's got to be something about just the ground that it's on. It's just a place where a lot of negative energy
Is there any is there any
vortex?
Okay, so is there any like place where you could maybe do like the cross, the equal arm cross in the circle, you know, the symbol for, like that might just a place, like maybe you can figure out and just take some stones that might even just be there. I don't know, like they might have stones like as mulch or something, and do some sort of that might be something to do. To help to give it a way out, or give it or at least be recognized for what it is.
Yeah,
And,
there is actually. The garden is dying down, and I always have these rocks that I collect from the lake, and I could do that in the garden out back.
Yeah, I think that might be helpful, and then you'll know, then like if you feel a difference. And that's something we can all do, you know, like we can, maybe that's something we need to do. Maybe we can have some sort of Native American artifact or or symbol on the to include them, right? To include, I mean, the original, I mean, there's nothing more Sagittarian than the indigenous people.
Yep.
And the indigenous people have been systematically being destroyed, you know, for years and years, and they continue to try to do it. But I think more and more people are really appreciating that they're not the savages and the dum-dums and the wild people that we thought. They had more wisdom in their pinky toe than we have in all our libraries. So I think that, you know, we have to honor them as well. I think that would be a good thing for this new moon as well.
Yeah. I have and it's right there too. I have a book, a textbook from like the late 1800s, a student textbook about geography.
Oh,
And that is exactly what they call the Native Americans, savages, in the textbook.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was what people learned because they killed animals for their food, which is exactly what the white people did when they had to go hunting. Like it was
Right, but I mean,
you could see the holes in the story that they had to teach and what answer you had to pick in this little book. That's like, because you don't know about something, you immediately, you know, challenge your fear by letting that fear out there, you know, by projecting it. It's just crazy. And I think this new moon should have some honor to the land we stand on and the American, the heritage of the American Indians, because it's
or anywhere. You could be in Australia.
yeah.
And you could do the Aborigines. I mean, a lot of the, even in China, I think the Uyghurs are like I think they're also indigenous, like an indigenous population. A lot of the countries who've had indigenous populations have, you know,
Or
decimated.
maybe you know what I'm getting, because I just asked Red in my head, because he's one of my guides, and it was the nature component, the earth component in your altar, but just being able to connect and pick up on the energy of the trees and pick up on the energy of nature that is in the landscape of a rock or anything, you know, to help you connect to the land you're standing on. Thanks, Ray.
All right. Well, I think we talked about everything we had talked about talking about. As always, everyone, thank you for joining us. We love doing this together. We love doing this, and we love doing this together. And you can, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing moonshine. We're going to have that occultation of the moon, Mars by the moon, and
Yeah.
you know, talk about projection. That's what full moons are all about, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna see if there's tickets that night, but the Adler Planetarium's opening their observatory to witness this occultation. And I don't know if it's on a weekend, I can't, but it would be kind of neat to, I mean, I'm gonna look for it anyway. You're gonna be able to see it, but to be under that you know, venue would be kind of neat.
Right, right. Yeah. Hopefully we have a nice clear night for that.
Yeah. Well, project that.
Yes, there you go. Imagine. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again in 2 weeks for Moonshine, and in a month for Moon Shadows. And we'll see where this journey takes us. Okay. All right, guys. Namaste. We love you.
Thank you.